Hello and welcome to the Bald Range Wildfire update for Friday, August 14th. I'm Eric Thompson at the Regional Emergency Operations Center. We're located at the Regional District of Okanagan's Similkameen office in the city of Penticton, here in Sinpington, on the traditional territory of the Syilx Okanagan people here in the Okanagan Nation. And it is really nice to be with you again. This is day 7 for this live stream, and today we'll start to wrap up the full live stream and focus more on hourly updates, a couple of updates within the time period. So we're going to really focus on moving forward updates at 2 o'clock and 6 o'clock. Of course, unless anything changes, then we'll be able to use the live stream to share that information with you. But 2 o'clock and 6 o'clock is our focus going forward, unless, of course, the conditions change and we need more updates. We are anticipating a visit today from BC Wildfire Service. That will be at 2 o'clock. And then at 6 o'clock, we'll have our larger update, and we'll hear from representatives from the Emergency Operations Center, find out what's going on, what's happened throughout the day, and what the operational period looks like heading into tomorrow. It's been great to have so many people join us here on the live stream to be able to share information with you. I've had a chance to speak with lots of people to find out how it works for you, what we can improve, and the highlight for me was that interaction, because what we're doing here is providing that real-time information. But in order to do that, we need to have a number of things in place, and that includes having the information section where I work able to verify information, bring it in here, sometimes share it directly, and make sure that everything that we're giving you is accurate, up-to-date information. And that's been working really well. And then, of course, the other teams here in the Emergency Operations Center and then out throughout the area, including different partners like BC Wildfire Service. We've got Ministry of Transportation and Transit, so many different agencies that are stepping up to help out. But of course, we've got to talk about the volunteers, emergency support services set up at the Penticton Trade and Convention Center. I had a chance to go there last night, late in the evening, so it was quiet. And there were just a few people who were staying there. And what I looked at was what was available for people. And I noticed that they have a bit of everything. So there's a charging station for your phones. There are TV monitors that the staff with the city of Penticton and the Penticton Trade and Convention Center have set up so that you can get current information on the highway and a lot more. So it's really set up well. And I'll show you some pictures a little later on. They've got different booths there for insurance companies and other providers, and just nice things like this for children. There's coloring books and bubbles and lots of other things, and really good resources, including this one, the little book of resources, really important information that people who are on evacuation order will need. A big order of the day today will be the staged reentry. So the staged reentry will basically start neighborhood by neighborhood, and it's set based on a number of factors. One of them is the wildfire. So of course, where there is the potential danger from the Bald Range wildfire, that's a concern and a big concern. And there are neighborhoods we had heard where the rapid damage assessments were happening and they had to halt that work because of the wildfire re-entering that area. We've heard directly from Graham Statt, one of the EOC directors here. And if we use the term EOC, that stands for Emergency Operations Center. We had heard that Canada Task Force 1 is on the ground and working, and they're a team of professionals who do a great job to go in and clear an area. And when we say clear an area, we're looking at a number of things. In areas where it's more complex, where wildfire has burned through, there's the potential for hazards. They clear that site to make sure the rapid damage assessment team can get in there. Then from there, the other hazards or issues would be services. What services are available? Is there power? We've heard there's 90% power to all of Summerland, but then we also don't want to forget the outlying areas that are not part of the District of Summerland. They're part of the Regional District of Okanagan, Similkameen, Electoral Area F, where this wildfire started. And it moved quickly. It moved in a very short period of time through some very dry conditions. And what we've heard from the BC Wildfire Service, Hugh Chapman has mentioned this a few different times, and it is food for thought that this fire moved rapidly without a wind event, without a major wind event. We've had some wind in the area, but not a lot. So that makes you think whatever's going on out there, either here in this region or anywhere in the province, when the wind picks up, there's the chance to spread the fire. So that's why we have to be prepared, and that's why many people now remain on an evacuation alert. And an alert means you're not under order. You can be in your home, but what you do need to do is be prepared. It's the time to get prepared in case you have to leave on a moment's notice. And because you have the time now, even if you don't feel like conditions will change, it's a really good time to get your head around what it look like if your family has to leave, like many people did on Friday. And everything from your grab and go kit with your immediate supplies that you might need, to papers, important papers, keepsakes, documents that you'll need, and also then clothing, and the list goes on. But getting those things in order so that if it changes and you have a plan, and that plan includes what is your evacuation plan, what is your emergency plan for you and your family. If it does change and you have to activate that plan, it really does take away a lot of the stress if you know what you're doing, if you have thought about it. And I think it's important to talk to people. I was under an evacuation order right now. And it's the first time for me that's happened. I've talked a lot about it, but as you can well imagine, when you actually have to go through it, you realize firsthand what you might do differently. And so if you know of anyone who's in that situation, don't hesitate to talk to them, because you'll find that you'll get some interesting feedback, things you might not have thought of. And I do want to say thank you for the comments to the team here. I see one in the chat, and I'm on this live stream, so people are saying to me, great job, Eric, but they always follow it up. And I think that's so important and your team. It's not my team, it's the team here at the Regional Emergency Operations Center. I'm able to deliver this information and keep the information accurate and coming in and being disseminated because of what's going on right now, not just in here to gather and prepare and support, but the people in the field. So let's just take a moment, if we can, all of us, to just ponder what it's like to be a first responder, a wildfire, what is it called? BC Wildfire Service. It's been 7 days now. So I'm going to be cycling out pretty soon to take a little bit of a break and spend more time with my family. And anyway, so firefighters, fire service personnel, and now that includes BC Wildfire Service, but also visiting and local fire departments doing structural protection and a lot of other work. So those people, including other first responders, RCMP, search and rescue, people who are out in the field and supporting this, they're doing some very important work, and often, well, for many of them, long hours away from their family, especially a lot of the firefighters from out of the area. So we all want to thank them. I know you've thanked them. And actually, that reminds me, I have a photo, I'll bring it up in just a moment, of that some young people did. It just appeared on the wall here, and it said, "Thank you, firefighters." And I really think that's important for people to know. Firefighters, people out there, first responders, to know that people are thinking about them. I think it's really, really nice. So I'm going to see if I can find that photo. In the meantime, I'm just going to show you that little drawing there was made for me, and I feel bad that I'm covering it up. I think I'm going to have to move it. I'll do that later. But anyway, so I did have a chance to go. I want to get right to what you're probably wondering. I mean, I don't want anybody to think that when we're talking about other things, that what you're dealing with is not important. So if you're on an evacuation order right now, please ensure that you've signed up for Voyant Alert. I was speaking this morning with a friend who's out of the province, who's been watching the live stream just to keep an eye on things, but also working remotely, her and her partner. And I think that's what a lot of people are facing, is they're outside of the area. And so her and her husband are, they're like a lot of people trying to find out what's going on. So they're staying tuned in. And it's important for people like that to sign up for Voyant Alert, whether you're out of the area or nearby. Because then if anything changes, so for example, if you're on an order and it changes to an alert or even rescind, which means it's taken off, you'll be notified through Voyant Alert through either a text, a telephone call, or an email, and you'll know right away. The process is basically that. It's going to be a Voyant Alert notification. We'll share the information here. It will be on the website. Now, for this region, we've got a couple of different intergovernmental agencies working together, including the regional district. So we are the Regional Emergency Operations Center. So for the District of Summerland, and for those of you in electoral area F, and also PIB, St. Pinkton, you'll be notified through the local Voyant Alert service, but also the map that we've been showing you quite a few times. That map has the latest alerts and orders, and that's where you'll find that. Now, for anyone who's in Summerland, there is a Voyant Alert service there as well. And you can get some links on the District of Summerland website, but you can also get a lot of that information here. So we're trying to make sure that whichever one you go to, you're going to get the details. And then the other one that's important today is, and it's very, very important to people, and I want people who are listening or who know others who aren't on watching this stream to share that information. And that is the staged reentry has been planned and is being worked out. And that work starts the moment an evacuation order is put in place, because when you put someone on an evacuation order, the thing you need to do is get prepared to bring them back home as soon as possible. And anyone who has been watching this live stream will know that people are working flat out round the clock to make sure that the areas are cleared to get people home. Now, often in a wildfire, and I've seen this many times myself, and you've probably seen it yourself, maybe even on the media, the fire danger may have passed in some areas, and people think, well, that's it, it's gone, I want to go home. But now you've got the complication of services, power, water, it goes on and on. Somebody asked yesterday in the chat, they said, can you talk about the landfill? And yes, we will be talking more about the landfill later today with Graham Stat. We'll get the latest update, but the last we had heard was all the buildings are safe. The main buildings at the landfill, the scale are safe, including the containers that are used for the recycling program. But there is a fire at the landfill itself. Now that's going to complicate things. And that going forward will be one of the many elements that the regional district and all the partners working together through the Emergency Operations Center will have to manage. So the District of Summerland in particular is going to have to work out how is garbage collection, recycling, all that, organics, how will that work? Later on, we're hoping to hear from Cam Bond, who used to do what I'm doing right now here in the Emergency Operations Center. And in fact, he, along with Zoe Kirk, who many of you know, really pioneered what we're doing here today. They were early on as information officers of the Regional District of Okanagan, Similkameen, starting to use social media, Facebook and Twitter, X, Twitter when it came out as Twitter with the bird. Now it's just an X. We don't know why. And they don't carry news links. We don't know why. Well, we think we know. But anyway, they did a lot of work to start improving. How do we get information out to people? And other local governments are doing the same thing. But now we've got YouTube and we've got the stream. So you won't always get this kind of information nonstop from local governments. And I don't think the expectation is realistic, but the technology is available to be able to fire up the YouTube, as they say, and join you live if something is happening that's an emergency. That's why we did this to start with, because as I've said many times before, when I got into the Emergency Operations Center and I spoke with our director, Deborah Jones Middleton, and she told me what was going on, it was daunting to think of trying to type out an information release or even a post on social media, which we had already done. And I realized that, there were people trapped, potentially the fire was moving toward the main part of Summerland. We didn't know the extent on the areas of Falder Meadow Valley at that point, but we certainly knew it was bad. So we decided to just go with YouTube and a live stream. And it's turned out that because we've kept it going, we've gotten past the main emergency part where it was really time sensitive. And now it's that flow of information. How are you getting information? BC Wildfire Service, if things change, they'll update their website. Drive BC, same thing. Others, Interior Health, all the different agencies that you look for information. What we can do with this local stream, though, is aggregate that information, including the website, rdos.bc.ca, a central location to find information and links. So again, if you're in the District of Summerland and you go to that website, you're going to find some links, but the bulk of them will be here on the RDOS website. And we're not trying to make it confusing. The idea is some people, they only go to the District of Summerland website, they'll find what they need. So throughout the day, we're going to talk a little bit more about what the day is going to look like. And it's kind of almost hour to hour because there's always things going on. And then what we can expect over the next several days as well. Just reading the comments, thank you. Digestible information. I think that's important. I'm a big fan of a buffet. I don't know about you. Well, sort of, depending where they are. But, if you go to a buffet, you've got a bit of that and a bit of that, and I don't need any of that, but I need that. Is it available to me? BC Ferries used to have a great buffet. You probably remember that. So information through any local government or source is similar. What do you really need right now? And when you're looking for it, you need to be able to find it. It's not always easy and it's changing. So this is a good outlet to talk about it. And then the people I'm working with over there, I always keep referring there. It's probably strange for you. You can't see them. They're imaginary people over there. What I'm looking at right now is the Emergency Operations Center and the information section. And right now I see approximately 4 or 5 people. And they are gathering that information, working with the other sections here, planning, operations, logistics. So logistics gets things and stuff. So supplies, they'll get lunch, they'll get food for teams in the field. Planning plans out things like evacuation alerts and orders. Operations, they're out doing things. When the highway opened, for that to happen, for Highway 97 to open, lots of teams worked together, coordinated through the Ministry of Transportation and Transit. But as you know, the highway is opening from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., but it's through traffic only. So to do that, to be able to open that highway meant that all the areas had to be blocked off that are still under an evacuation order. So if you are traveling on the highway or you know anyone who is, the things you need to remember are don't speed. It's 70 all the way through. You will see crews working in the area, and for their safety. I would like to think people will do the right thing, and I know they will. So slow down, it's really important. But then also what we're looking at is not stopping your vehicle is part of it. Don't stop and take pictures and look around. That's dangerous because it's a busy highway and it's also not part of the plan. Don't go into neighborhoods if you don't have an approved temporary access pass. At the location where you will find Tim Hortons, IGA, and other businesses, that's a temporary staging area for people who are heading in with a temporary access pass. The RDOS Emergency Operations Center Mobile Command Center is there, along with lots of agencies, including the RCMP. That's the only place you'd be stopping if you have a pass. So if you're driving, stay on the road, keep going, drive safe. If it doesn't work out for whatever reason, there's a chance that the highway will be closed until further notice, until the orders are to get lifted. Okay, I'm going to go off the highway for a moment, so to speak, and go back to the staged reentry. If you live anywhere in the Summerland area, Falder, Meadow Valley, Fish Lake, Dark Lake, any of these areas that are under an evacuation order, it's very important to understand that the process is underway. No one, and this is what I'm enjoying about this process, because I'm going to speak candidly. If you phoned me and asked me a question, or if I saw you on the street, whether I know you or not, I'm going to tell you the same information. Everybody is working flat out to make sure that it's safe to reenter. Safe to reenter means if you open up an area and thousands of people go in, and not just residents, the minute areas open up, what's going to happen is people will go in. That's the nature of where we are. We're in a free society. So when areas open up, it's important. If you don't need to be there, you don't live there, don't go there. Let people reintegrate into their neighborhoods with some privacy and without a bunch of congestion. And certainly you've heard the term, I'm going to use it, and I'm going to air quotes it, looky-loos. Don't be that guy or woman or person. I don't think it's helpful. So going there to take pictures, going there to maybe fly a drone, you all know that's not good and it's illegal, and you basically it would probably ruin your career, because you're going to have a lot of trouble on your hands. So don't do stuff like that, okay? Let's be part of the solution. And while I'm on a bit of a moment, and before I get pulled off the air here for saying too much, we can do better as a community, as a society, when it comes to social media. Social media is too easy to sit there and pound out your mad thoughts, whatever they are. Go ahead and have those thoughts. But if you want to stay with your community and talk about it, go ahead. Where I think it's a real problem is when you start accusing people and being negative and just nasty. What's your concern? Don't make it personal. And why am I saying this? Because I have a moment and people are watching. And it's my personal feeling that I'm sharing on behalf of a lot of people, especially people who want to help others. I'm in the service industry. Local government, we serve people. That's why we're doing this. We're not doing it to get rich, I can tell you that much. So if you're going to be, if you're in this area or you're outside the area, this area is suffering trauma right now. People who are outside of their homes or maybe have lost property are suffering trauma. So when you decide to go online and in this comment section start saying stuff that's just negative, it's not helpful. So if you want to be part of the solution, A, keep your thoughts to yourself. That's my polite request, as on behalf of a lot of other people. Or B, Let's talk about your concern. Your concern is you're frustrated because you can't get into your home. Excellent. Would you like an answer? Can we talk about it? And if you want to talk about it, I can give you honest information. Not, and then somebody might say, well, you're taking too long, or it's already safe, or I'm okay with the risk. Local governments, government in general, and even private companies can't set people up where there's a potential for risk. It just doesn't work that way. Because the minute something happens and somebody gets hurt and you knew that there's a potential for somebody to get hurt, what happens? I'll let you fill in the blank. Okay, so let's keep it nice. Let's try to help out, be part of the process. If you've got concerns and you really feel something is wrong, what's your solution? What's your need? What's your solution? If you don't have a solution, I understand that, but what's your need? Let's talk about it that way. So we're going to move on now. So 250-490-4225, 490-4225. That's the number to call. Let's have a happy moment with a coloring book. At the ESS, Emergency Support Services Reception Center, I was saying there's lots of resources there. And one of them is that one right there, is a coloring book. I've heard now that there's so many different areas around here. The Comfort Center, the Lakeside Resort has like an area for families and children. And those areas are proving to be so vital for people to just get together and have some, I guess what we'll call some sense of normal, but happy, where you can go get what you need, get out of the smoke. And today it's not too smoky, which is really nice because we've been getting kind of tired of that. It's been getting a little bit old. So I'm just checking something here to see if this graphic works. So, and you know what? Oh, I think it actually, oh, look at that. That's kind of interesting. Are you seeing that as that graphic above the little window? Because if you are, that actually works. So what I'm trying to do is that when I do step away for a moment, I just want to have what's going on. And I just want it to not look weird. That looks weird. Okay. So much to say, so many words, I'm running out. We'll continue through the day today. And we're going to go till 7 o'clock, 1900 hours. And then we're going to take a break. What we'll do is throughout the day, I'll be here till, I'm planning to take a break shortly. I'll do a reset here since it's 8:30. And it's time for the news, followed by weather. But then at 10 o'clock, I'm going to shut this live stream down. I'm going to take a break and reset for what the next phase will be like with not only our live stream, but our information section, and spend some time really looking at how we're going to be getting information out over the next period. We're into a new period soon where we start looking at the staged reentry and we start getting people back to their homes and as soon as possible. But continuing the flow of information. It's important to know that if there's no new information, that means there's no new information, but regularly we'll let you know that through the website, a regular EOC update that you can read that will say nothing has changed, or if something has changed, we'll let you know. But on the live stream after today, we're really going to focus on 2 o'clock and 6 o'clock. But with that live stream open so that if anything changes, or, if I'm wandering through the office and I feel like I need to just chat, drop by, show you things, I will. Somebody gave me a card. I do not want to encourage anybody to drop anything off to any of us because we don't need it. What we need you to do is help people who are in need. And those are people who are in, especially in Falder Meadow Valley, in that area that was really hardest hit. You've probably all seen some of the videos online, and it's heart-wrenching. There's a video going on around right now about, I forget what they called the woman, but you've probably seen it, where she's driving through the fire and she's saying, got to stay focused. I know somebody who was driving out with a baby, a newborn, and all just wonderful people put in a very difficult position. And now they need your help. We need help, all of us, to just work together and build that sense of community that we already have, or build on it, I should say. And there's so many different areas that are involved. Summerland is one, the electoral areas, City of Penticton, our neighbors in Peachland and West Kelowna and Kelowna. So it's a group effort, but I'm going to get things started. Someone's asking if there's any report from Canada Task Force 1. I haven't heard any specific report. Someone's talking about, I don't want to get it. I can't confirm anything that you say in the chat that I can't confirm. I'm not going to talk about. I'm also I'm going to try to avoid terms like I assume, or I'm guessing that's right, because that's not my role. Our role here is to provide verified information. Before I get to a quick update, in case you've just joined us and we do a reset, I wanted to quickly talk about the media. I worked in the media for many years, and many of my good friends either A, work in the media, or B, don't work in the media because the media decided that they don't want as many people working there anymore. So that's troubling for them. The media provides a really important service, especially local media at this level where we're looking at. You know the sources. I don't want to name everybody, but you know who they are. Very important source of information. And what I'm finding is happening with some of them, which I think is really interesting, is they're taking the live feed, and I don't know if they're feeding it through AI or what they're doing, is they're turning it around into content, which is great because if I'm not mistaken, for the most part, it's pretty accurate. And there's no real editorializing going on, using terms like some of the terms that I've seen when I used to work in media too. I would write an introduction for a news story that I had created. And in my case, I used to do the reporting and I'd do the editing as well. So I'd make this great little story and I'd write an intro that was very factual. I think I was preparing for local government. And I would just keep it simple. And then a producer might get a hold of it. You know who you are if you're watching, but probably not watching. And they would make it better, a little more interesting, a little more punchy. So that's fine in news and it might get your attention, but in local government, it detracts from what we're trying to do, which is just simply give you information. You can decide if it was an exciting announcement or an important announcement. I mean, we use words like important, but anyway, so in media, when they're taking this content and turning it into articles, they're basically taking what many people probably didn't see because they're not sitting watching YouTube, and now they're getting to read it on their phone while they're sitting having their coffee break or whatever it is. So that's really helpful. And then the other outlets like Global and CTV and CBC and the many others, Rogers Television, are doing stories and segments about people. And that's what we haven't really had a chance to do yet. But going forward, maybe that's something we can do more, but we're not a news outlet and we want to leave that to the storytellers and the people who do that kind of thing, which is great. Seeing our neighbors and friends, hearing their stories, I think it all is so complementary, and that's what I really like about what we're doing. And I'll end on one note before I get into a very quick reset of what we're doing today and what you can expect. And that is the collaboration of what we're doing today with the live stream is made apparent by my friend Kim Lawton, who I told you about earlier. Many people in Summerland and in Penticton will know her. She sent me a note when I said, we're not looking for volunteers that I know of, like the RDOS Emergency Operations Center, the different partners we're working with. We're not asking right now for volunteers, and we're not managing volunteers because that's not what we're doing. That's not our thing. Emergency support services is different. Trained volunteers, if they're looking for new people to come and get trained, that's a different story. That's not really happening right now. They have brought in other volunteers. Kim gave me a note, sent me a note on the chat and just said, JCI and Rotary are looking for volunteers. They have booths set up at the Penticton Trade and Convention Center outside and also outside the South Okanagan Events Center, and they're operating 24/7. And surprisingly, they're having challenges finding people to work the overnight shift. So I knew that. So when I was saying at one point what I thought to be true, which to my knowledge was that we in this organization aren't managing or looking for volunteers, but there may be community groups that are, I was able to look at the screen and say, and these are the community groups. So that interaction I think is very important. We're using technology to have a good conversation. And also, they are operating 24 hours a day. And Kim asked them, do they need to operate 24 hours a day? And they said, yeah, actually, there are people who are coming in there. So just on a side note, what we're finding now is an emergency support services reception center and those types of services or supports, when people are operating a booth like that, are helping a lot of other people who are unhoused all the time. And that is important. And that's what we should do anyway, shouldn't we? Is try and help those people, and that's what volunteers do. All right. So right now it is 8:37, and my name is Eric, and I'm with the Regional Emergency Operations Center. I'm with the Information Section. Today, our Information Section lead is Joanne Millar. Many of you know her from Summerland and from her past as a high-level athlete, which is, I think, still pretty cool that she's here with us. We also have another group of really cool people and very dedicated and really talented too. We have Kate Holowati. I hope they don't mind me. I shouldn't maybe mention last names because there's some privacy here, but you know who they are, and we've mentioned them before. We also have Joni, Natalie, and then we have visiting from the Columbia Shuswap Regional District, Tracy Hughes, who has a real background in emergencies and in communications and also media. We have Veronique from Summerland. So that's a team right now working in the information section. Might sound like a lot of people, but believe me, when emergencies happen, you can you could have more people and not have enough to do. Go through the list of all the different things that are happening. And one of them is social media, making sure that information is getting onto Facebook. We're using Instagram as well. Tracy's using Instagram for some reels. So it just goes on and on from there. So that team is the team I'm working directly with. I haven't talked to them lately, so at some point I'll pause and go and talk to them. But right now, we'll take a drink and we'll go through a bit of a reset. I have a beverage here. I'm not trying to advertise anybody, but my friend Christina on the coast, when this broke out, she sent me a gift card. And again, I probably shouldn't say that. It doesn't matter. She's my friend. I don't want anybody to send us anything. It's not professional and we can't accept it. So just so you know. But I just thought that kind of thing is what's happening. Is I don't need a gift card, but she's my friend. And her and her husband Doug just thought, you know what? You and your team, you're doing a great job. And they sent that. So that kind of stuff warmed my heart. But I probably shouldn't have said that, because now I don't want anybody to send us stuff. Can't accept it. It's unprofessional. So don't. But she's a friend, so it's okay. That kind of generosity, why I'm mentioning it is not, I don't need that. And the people here don't need that. We're taken care of. What I think I would focus on if I were you, if you want to help, is donate to a charitable organization that you know is legit. Somebody sends you a note on Facebook, maybe, if you don't know them, or they call you unsolicited, red flag, hang up, report it. But the Community Foundation of South Okanagan, the list goes on and on, all raising money all the time to help in different areas, but they can now direct the funds to people who need it. But again, if you want to help people directly, you know someone who needs help and will need help in the long run, because it's a long process to recovery if you've had damage to your property or anything more serious. Pace your caffeination. That's funny. I actually haven't had a lot of caffeine today. So if anything, I need to ramp up. But I do appreciate that feedback. Thank you. I've got a high tolerance for caffeine. Time for a reset. Key things today. Staged reentry. What does that look like? We'll get Graham in here as soon as we can to talk more about that. Staged reentry, fairly straightforward, neighborhood by neighborhood by neighborhood, as quickly as possible as the area is cleared. Canada Task Force 1, an agency made up of professionals from all areas, including RCMP, former RCMP. They go in, they clear the site, they make sure it's safe, rapid damage assessments are being done, and they make sure it's safe for them to do that work. And then as areas are opened up, you'll hear about it right away. Patience is the key. You also can't have a situation where you just open up the town, open up the whole area, electoral area F, or any other area. You can't have that for many reasons. And one of them I know for the District of Summerland, we're going to talk about a touchy subject here. It's the sewage treatment plant. You actually do have to do it phased. And it's not like we're going to wait a bunch of time. We're not going to wait days and days for the sewage treatment plant, but that's one of the components. I'm going to share with you what Graham Stat told us. Graham is one of the directors here at the EOC, and there he is. Hey, maybe he can come in. This is great. Good timing. I was just going to share the bug story. Oh, but why? I said you can't. So this is Graham Stat. He's one of the EOC directors in the Emergency Operations Center. He's also the CAO of Summerland. And I was saying, when we get into the stage reentry, you can't just open up the whole area, but you're not going to wait for the sewage treatment plant. But that's one of the components. If you want to come forward, we want to be able to hear your voice. Yeah. But in this particular case, aside from how many people you can put in, the sewage treatment plant, the good bugs that do the good work didn't have any food because no one was there, and they died. Yeah, we lost a lot of those, that bacterial culture. And so we're regrowing that. Trying to take that from you. Thank you. Adding, you're fidgeting. Fidgeting, yeah. Do you have anything I could chew or something? No, just joking. So that's a serious situation, though, right? And it is, but it's not new. You probably knew that it could happen. We knew that it could happen. We want to stage people's reentry for this reason, as among many others. But this is a great example, because if we overwhelm our wastewater treatment facility, there's just a flow-through component, so that waste wouldn't be fully treated and could enter the lake as untreated waste, which nobody wants. Can I ask why that? Why would it? Like, where, if it overflows, where's it overflowing from, and where's it going to? Because the whole wastewater treatment facility runs through the facility into the lake, and there's no way to stop it. Okay. So it's kind of like a flow-through system. There's no
holding area. You can hold anything like that. What it is, it just runs all the time, and there's no stopping it.
Okay, but you can reintroduce neighborhoods fairly quickly, though, in a very rapid.
That's the plan, yeah. So the key thing is that staged approach. We have a good handle on what we're thinking now for early ones, and to start to step those through. And that's why it's important for the public too. All these areas are different, but also we don't want to overwhelm systems like the wastewater treatment plant. And there are other systems we don't want to overwhelm as we start up.
I'm going to take about 5 minutes of your time just so you have a plan to know how much time you're going to take away from what you're doing. With power, when an area is opened up, when it's cleared, when the order is lifted, are you able to tell residents how long the power was off? Do you have that data?
We do. Yeah, we know how long the power was off, and what we're going to try to do is with each of those areas that we start to step into for reentry, to be able to give guidance to people on that. We'll have general guidance, but we'll also have an idea in terms of how long the power was off, which is important for things like food safety.
How will people find out about that? How would they know? Would you talk to individual neighborhoods about that?
Yeah, well, the areas that we're working with will be told. Yeah.
Okay, wow. You've got a reentry kit that's good for the whole region. Is that reentry kit also for Area F, for Falder, Meadow Valley, and North Lake in that area?
We're going to have sort of like general reentry criteria that people should think about. We're going to try and get that on the website today, maybe soon or noon or something like that.
Right now.
So everyone should review that, and then specifics for specific areas that'll be unique to them as well.
Okay.
But it's a regional emergency center and a regional approach to reentry.
You may want to add a little into this. I was saying that when areas open up, it's important that only the people who live there go there. You don't want looky-loos. You don't want other people hanging around to take pictures or whatever, because there will be an influx of people and they need a bit of time and some privacy.
Yeah, I think that's really important. Let's recognize that it's going to be a large influx of people. There's going to be questions that need to be asked, and we're going to be talking with people. Let's let those people go first. Once an area is open, it's open. So we're not doing anything to restrict access or anything like that, but it's going to be important that we still, again, stage people in an appropriate fashion. If it becomes difficult, complex, or cumbersome, then we have to institute controls that just slows down other phases of reentry.
You said something yesterday here about a chocolate on the pillow at a hotel, and I appreciate you're not making light of it. I thought it was a good comment, because what your intention is to say that it's not going to be perfect. When someone goes home, depending on where they live, it could be challenging.
Yeah.
Uncomfortable even for some people.
Thank you. Yeah. And great. And so I don't know if anyone took offense to that. What I was trying to say is we don't want it to be perfect, in the sense that we're trying to balance perfection with access. So what's absolutely required for safety, we want public safety to be perfect. We're not letting anyone in where we can't be safe. But it might be there's a boil water order. Could we wait until we had potable water at every single residence before an area is accessed? We could. That would be the chocolate on the pillow sort of thing, like a hotel. What we're trying to say is we know people are responsible actors. They can make good decisions for them and their families. We can tell them it's ready from a safe perspective. Here's some considerations. You go in when you feel you're ready. And if you want to wait till, for example, potable water is available, that's your choice. But if you want to get in earlier, it'll be imperfect, but accessible.
I saw a comment yesterday, and I wasn't able to address it, but someone was asking about RVs. So people who live in some of the rural areas outside of Summerland might have RVs, and they're happy to go back to their property, and they're self-sufficient. The issue there is that it's not necessarily safe, and they could potentially still in an area where the wildfire could change and move back there.
So are these RVs that, just for my clarity, are these RVs that are in the order area?
No, these are people who are saying we'd like to go back home, and where we're saying there's no services available, but they'd just like to go set up anyway because they feel they can be self-sufficient. They would be allowed back in if it wasn't unsafe. That's the problem, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. We're treating this as sort of at the neighborhood level, as I mentioned yesterday, for lack of a better term, paint by number sort of approach.
Yeah.
Whether it's an RV or a permanent house or anything else, a tent in your backyard, that's not the issue. It's about the safety and the support that we can give you for your utilities and other considerations as well while you're there.
So a couple things real quick for clarification. Because we're dealing with different jurisdictions, we're talking about the District of Summerland, and we're talking about electoral area F, particularly for the order. The Regional Emergency Operations Center is working with those teams on both re-entries. It's a combined effort.
It's a combined effort. Yeah,
Okay.
that's right.
Agriculture.
Yeah.
This is a conversation we've had before, not here necessarily, but in other areas where when a wildfire breaks out and there is threat to the area, you have to get people out. And then the producers want to get back in. They've got cattle, they've got animals, they've got fruit, whatever it may be. And sometimes they're not allowed to go back in. They're not able to because of the danger.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think the conversation, what I want to get at here is, where does that conversation take place with the province to say, well, how do we compensate those people going forward?
Yeah, it's a great question.
Can you advocate for them?
The mayors should talk more about this, actually, how an amazing job we're seeing from the directors of the RDOS, and of course, mayors of Penticton, my own mayor and boss, Summerland. And they're doing a great job. You know, personal conversations with the premier, most of the ministers have called mayors directly. They're advocating for not only, generally in terms of small business, but also agricultural supports. These are big figure numbers. We don't have programs for that, but the hope is that the province will be able to come forward for additional supports with some of those industries. And in the meantime, what we're trying to do is get people in there to access as much as possible to get those crops off or to water those crops. It's happening every day. That being said, we let temporary access down Meadow Valley yesterday for some. We had to pull them back quickly because we had a reignition there that was dealt with. So we're like working on the fringes. We're trying to take appropriate and reasonable risk, but it's very difficult because we're trying to keep people safe too.
This is real information. I like that, because I think you've given us an honest and time-sensitive answer. That's what's going on right now. One last point on that, and then we'll go to landfill and wrap it up because I know you're busy. On ag, when the premier of this province and the Minister Green of EMCR, Emergency Management and Climate Change, I believe it is, when they came here, readiness. Sorry, I should know that. I got a lot going on in my head here. It's starting to slow down. But anyway, when they came into this area to visit, people always think, well, I shouldn't say that. Some people suggested it was a photo op. But I know, because I was on the fringes here, that there were conversations, I wasn't in them, but there were conversations going on, as you mentioned, with city representatives, district representatives, electoral area representatives, but also staff at a high level, talking to the premier. You talked to the premier. Mm-hmm. Can you tell me in a nutshell what you were saying?
Yeah, I mean, first I want to just say about that, before the premier came, chief of staff of the premier's office and the minister's office called us and worked with us many times, like over many days, saying, we do not want to come if this would in any way, shape, or form interfere operations, take away from anything. We have no interest in politicking around this. And they were super respectful. And it wasn't until we said, we think we can do this, and it would actually be encouraging also for the staff and frontline to see someone come through, that they actually came. In the conversations that we had with the premier as a part of them, of course, these are conversations in large part between governments and between the elect, but where I had the opportunity to talk to the premier myself, we did reiterate some learnings from my involvement in the Fort McMurray wildfire and recovery and reentry there, and things that we should really think about.
Excellent. Well, thanks for your honesty. Last thought on the landfill, because someone asked about that yesterday in the chat. I talked earlier this morning about the building still being there, but there's a fire at the landfill, and that could be cause some real complications going forward, but things that you can manage. Yeah,
so structures at the landfill, like the scale, there's a asphalt treatment plant nearby, Cantex equipment associated with that. Recent work we've done to the landfill in the area, that seems to all be intact, but the landfill itself, there's parts of the landfill that are on fire right now. A lot of it has to do with the compost area, wood chip piles and that burning deep and hot. We're trying to keep that from turning into a garbage fire, which could work its way down into the ground, and it could be a very long-term problem. It is a going concern. We have crews on site, active structure fire specialists, and in fact, a landfill engineer, which is one of the best in the world, who happen to be in the area. We have on site guiding our activities on managing this landfill fire. Progress is being made with a lot of sprinklers pouring water on those piles, but you've got to get the piles cool enough to spread them and work with them. That's an activity that's continuing 24 hours a day, and we're adding more resources today.
I'm going to let you go. Last, I think it was yesterday, you came out of a briefing, you briefed me. I was taking notes. I was learning firsthand while people watching this live stream were learning, while the elected officials were learning, and I think it's honest information. So I'm going to do what we would normally do outside there. I'm going to ask you a question, and you can say yes or no.
Sure. Yeah.
Can we give Cam Bond, who's a contractor working with the District of Summerland on this landfill situation, clearance to come in here if he's available? He said he might, to talk about what's going on out there.
Yeah, we sure can.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Just sign this here.
Yeah.
Graham, thanks.
My word is my bond.
Your word is your bond.
All right.
Graham,
you.
thanks a lot. I appreciate it. I always
Take care.
appreciate the information that you have available and your ability to share it with us in a coherent manner.
Thank you, sir.
There you go. Direct information. You're learning it here live as I'm learning it. And I was taking some notes there. That was really helpful. So that's Graham Stat. He's one of the EOC directors here at the Emergency Operations Center. And I felt there was some pretty useful information there, give you a sense of what's going on. Earlier, I was having a little conversation there about social media and you know, people get frustrated and they will sometimes say things like, you know, statements that they believe to be true. People aren't working hard enough, or they're just preventing them from going home or whatever. I appreciate a lot of it's out of frustration. So I get it, and people want to be heard. So I understand that. But in our conversation here, what we're really hoping for is more proactive conversation about what's your issue. Can we give you an answer? And then if you need to take it offline, if it's very specific to you or your property, or there's privacy involved, let's not do it on the chat. You can always make a phone call, 250-490-4225. 8:54 is our time right now. I feel like a radio broadcaster. We're going to go to weather. Now, I'm going to take a short break because I need to, because I've been talking a lot. I'm going to come back for a 9 o'clock reset for those people who might be out of their homes, somewhere else. They want information. I've talked to so many people who just leave the stream up. And I feel like I'm the soundtrack to your life, which is for me a bit awkward. But if it's providing some comfort with information, people like Graham, that's what we're here for. Take a short break, back at 9 or so. Sometimes they get cornered in the hallway and I have to do something, but I'll be back as close to 9 as I can. Thanks.
news yesterday, wasn't it?
It sure was. And I'm just going to introduce you, Alan. I've got Alan G here with me. He is with Go Radio in Penticton, and we've been talking the last few days, and he's been joining me on the live stream, and I've been on the radio with him. And Alan, you wanted to know about the highway. Well, I was thrilled to hear that it had opened between 7 and 7, so 7 a.m. in the morning, 7 p.m. at night, and I haven't heard anything from the site. I certainly will find out, but speed limit 70, you can't go off to the side, you can't stop, don't take pictures, that kind of thing, just drive safe, and it'll remain open. So that's Ministry of Transportation and Transit and the others who work to get that to happen, make that happen.
And with that update yesterday, they said that the only people that can go in the Summerland, there's one entrance, but it's those that have those access passes. So is that part underway that you know of, Eric, that those that need to get in are getting that chance?
Yeah, as far as I know, I mean, that's what I've heard for sure. And so I should answer that correctly. Yes, Alan, that is correct. Don't be so vague. No, it's absolutely true. I just haven't seen it with my own eyes. I just have seen some photos and have talked to people who are out there. So they're set up at that plaza right where IGA is in the Tim Hortons area and that intersection, which I should know because I live here, but I think it's, what do you know? You probably know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But that intersection, the only reason you turn in there, if you're heading north, you're going left, is if you have the approved temporary access pass.
So obviously for those that do, Eric, I mean, because the other part we knew that there's going to be assessment of damage. So if they're allowing people to go in with those passes, obviously, I'm guessing that assessment has happened or is well underway, right?
Well, yeah, that's right. So the passes are for people to go into areas that are safe.
Okay.
So from a multitude of reasons, they'd be going in there, and they'd be escorted for the most part. And I think the key for people is if they do get the pass and they've said what their plans are and where they're going to go, the idea is to stay to that plan, not to veer off and go somewhere else, go to your buddy's property or do whatever. It just kind of goes against what the intent was. And there's always that potential. I think all of us have a different risk tolerance, but for local governments and any other agency, company or business, you want to stick to what you know, and it's never helpful if people don't stick to the plan and potentially somebody gets hurt.
That's right. And, there is some optimism. I know that I saw an Instagram post from last night from Summerland Home saying that the next step would be, portions of Summerland getting a chance to re-enter. And obviously that's probably the big plan right now and seeing if that can happen and happen soon too, right? Yeah,
the stage re-entry, before, Alan, that, anytime you have an evacuation order put in place, one of the first things you do is you turn your attention, in addition to the response the response to the wildfire, which BC Wildfire works on with support from the local emergency operations center. But the plans on another part of the emergency operations center is to start working on that reentry plan. It's just so important in the whole process to make sure people can get in. And I've said it so many times, it's a complex operation, but it's such a vital thing.
So for you today, Eric, and the RDOS, I mean, it's kind of funny because every day is the same, but not really, but sort of. You know what I mean? But what's your sort of plan for today? I mean, a lot of stuff just kind of breaks and we go with it, but just talking about with your live streams and sort of what people can expect today.
It's Monday, right?
I was like, is it?
Every day is the same. No, it is absolutely different, but a lot of the same types of activities. And we got a rhythm we talk about in this area, an operational rhythm. I should mention it's Prairie Valley Road. I know the turnoff. I don't look at the road signs where I live. That road adjacent to Sully is where the plaza is, where we've got the emergency operations center set up, the mobile command center. Today really, the focus is going to be on getting people back into their homes with that stage reentry. I think it's important to note that until you've got 100% certainty on the safety and security of the area and of the plan, you don't open an area up to an evacuation order. You don't rescind the order, because the minute you do that, when there's no order in place, that's it. That area is open. It's not only open for residents, it's open for visitors. It's open for anybody who wants to wander in. And that's why RCMP will be in place. That's why security will be in place. When an area opens up, there may be families who aren't home. Likely they'll be there within a few minutes, I'm sure, once they find out. But it's important for anybody listening, if an area is not under evacuation order and you don't live there, you're not going to help if you go there. So I think it's just such, we have a social contract here about being respectful of each other. That's a good point where people have to use their best judgment. and not go into areas, whether you want to take a photo or not. Now, I appreciate likely media will be going to some of those areas, and I can't speak for them, but I think they know what they can and can't do and how to be respectful of people and private property. So media, they have a different job to do, and it's a sort of a different story, but don't go to the area if you don't live there.
Exactly. Well, I know someone that said, well, if they open the highway and you can go all the way through to Kelowna, I live on the, lower town. Should they not allow me to do that? And of course, it's like, well, it's a process. And like you said before, Eric, is that if you allow, a certain amount of people to come in, and then guess what? Because you never know if a fire turns back on itself. We can see those embers travel kilometers. Like we're never out of the woods. So
no, and sorry, Alan. I think in some of the areas, it's definitely on the east side of the highway. I'd like to think the concern is less about the fire and just more about making sure the site is cleared as far as any other hazards, and that they have services. That's really a big part of the issue. Sorry, someone's asking me here, is there a specific pass for media? No, I mean, because it's when we live in Canada. If an area is open, like I could drive into your neighborhood in Penticton at any time, and if I have a camera, there's privacy rules and there's respect, but there's nobody checking to say, are you accredited media? But I tell you what they will be doing is Neighborhood Watch and RCMP will be asking people if they're wandering a little aimlessly or they're looking around and they're not supposed to be there. Someone will have a chat with them, including citizens on patrol. You can guarantee it.
Yeah, well, we even saw an incident like that, I think, yesterday, where they had to say, "Hey, you're not leaving. You got to come with us, right?"
Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I'm not. Do we have time still? We got a minute.
Oh yeah, you all the time.
Okay, I should apologize. I think we left you hanging yesterday. I just got wrapped up. I mean, we're both hosting shows here, so it is kind of. And then I realized, Alan was on the radio. You probably just gave up on me. I feel bad, so I apologize for that.
I know, no worries. I just listened. It was good information. I just sat back, and then when it was time to go, I just politely sort of hung up. But no, we got time right now. If you want to add something, Eric.
Well, what I was going to say is on the re-entry. So I'm looking at questions here on our chat, and someone is saying the re-entry means that neighborhoods furthest from the fire will be first to be let back in. There's a re-entry plan, and when it's finalized, all that information will come out. I'm not going to start talking about the specific minutia of it, because I think one of the things, and this is really important, is, for example, if you say we might do something and people get prepared for that and they're all ready for it and it doesn't happen, that's troubling and it's difficult for people. The only difference I would say is when there's, say, for example, during a major incident, not this one, but like a major wildfire in another area, what'll sometimes happen is you put plans in place and you say, we are going to put that area under an evacuation order when there's no current threat, like current as in like they have to get out now, but within the next, say, 12 hours, you want people to get out. More and more, I'm seeing that local governments will say that tomorrow at 10 o'clock, there will be an order in place. So you have time now to get ready, get prepared, so that at 10 o'clock in the morning, I'm using this as an example, everybody doesn't try to get out at once. And I think it's kind of the same with a re-entry plan. If you say, well, area A, B, or C will be back in. Now everybody starts to get ready, and then boom, and you've got a situation where it's unsafe because you've got lineups of people. So staged re-entry is exactly what it means. And with that, I'm going to stop because you might have some questions, and I don't want to talk too much because you're hosting the show right now, Alan. You're just joining me on the live stream, and you're the host, and I could talk all day long.
Well, I'll let you go, but I got to ask, Eric, are you going to get some time?
Mm-hmm.
I know that you're evacuated, but are you going to get some time this week, and maybe because you probably need to rest to recharge like a lot of folks do. Yeah,
I had an operational plan the minute we activated and we started the live stream. Was today is my day to start to transition out. We're going to wrap up our live stream at 7 o'clock. Of course, if anything changes, if we're talking about emergency situation, I'll be back here in a moment's notice. But my plan is to kind of take some time off tomorrow, be with my family, and also tomorrow work on some other things behind the scenes that I need to do with my day job. So just kind of taking it easy, a bit of both. And I've got the stream here, the web stream that I want, the live stream that I want to bring in some other people to work on. So Tracy Hughes, who's with us, is just with us on Saturday from CSRD, Columbia Shuswap Regional District. I'm going to ask her to host the 2 and 6 o'clock briefings before she goes. So we'll focus more on those briefings at 2 and 6. And then going forward, I'll be back on Sunday. And, when incidents like this happen, it is all hands on deck. And I'm okay with that. I know what the pacing is. And I do appreciate that people are worried about, taking care of myself. But I've got a plan. How about you? Are you feeling rested, or is it Is this causing you to be busier than you normally are?
Well, certainly, yeah, and that I, again, like you, no problem with it, because to get information out is so important. But I think there is a plan to, maybe ease things back a little bit on the weekends. I'm supposed to be off next week. Not sure if that will happen, but yeah, I'll get a day or so as well. But I appreciate you, Eric, not only joining us each and every day, but I think people getting so much from the updates of the live stream. So I know that will continue. So enjoy a little bit of time away tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Alan. Thanks for the time. I appreciate it.
Awesome, Eric. I'll let you go. We'll check in soon. Thank you.
All right. That's Alan G. from Go Radio in Penticton. All right. Yeah, so the stage reentry, the work's been done and continues with reentry. And what I'll tell you is that as the day goes on, any new information, whether it's to do with an evacuation alert or order, you'll hear about it here. It'll be on Voyant Alert. We'll also have it on the website, rdos.bc.ca, connected to the District of Summerland, but also information about other areas. A Voyant Alert notification went out last night. That would be Thursday, August 13th, to residents of Falder, Meadow Valley, and that area, Dark Lake, Fish Lake. Basically, here's the message, if it was confusing. The intent wasn't, but basically, if you're in that area and Voyant Alert, you're signed up for Voyant Alert, but you know maybe someone who isn't, to contact the Regional Emergency Operations Center. But either way, let us know what your contact information is, 250-490-4225. And that is so that someone here, a representative, can contact you about doing a tour, because a lot of people want to go into specific neighborhoods. And in this case, you can well imagine, you've seen the videos. Most of you know there was quite a bit of damage to structures in the Falder and Meadow Valley area. People might be wondering why local government like this wouldn't just say X number of structures were impacted and that type of thing. And it's because verification is a process that involves a lot. But first and foremost, it's about people. So verifying it to you, the greater public, is one thing. That comes later once the data is collected, and it will come, I'm sure. But it's really about the individual. And we've said so many times, nobody really wants to find out about their property through social media or otherwise. But in some cases they have, and in some people that's provided clarity and closure, or it's provided some good news that they see their house. But you've got to follow a process. So it starts with local government talking to those people directly, and not just saying, they might know what's gone on already, but having a conversation and giving them a chance to kind of look at it where it's safe, and what the next steps are. And maybe they want to talk to somebody. Maybe they want to get more information about how they can get some help. So you really got to be respectful about people who have had some damage to their property, and sometimes severe damage. Most important thing is trying to prevent loss of life. And we had heard about through the RCMP one person who tragically passed, and certainly our hearts go out to their family. And that's what you really don't want, is that happening in a larger scale. And that's why with these evacuation orders, it's meant to not take our chances, but get people out. Recommendation comes from BC Wildfire. And in some cases, obviously the local government is involved in making the ultimate decision, but you've got RCMP and Search and Rescue and others who go in there. I want to use a good example now. Is I did have a chance to speak with some people who were out in that area. And what happens is the fire is moving very quickly. So you're trying to tell people to get out. A lot of them are coming out anyway because they see the fire. But then when people choose to stay, and you've got first responders and search and rescue out there trying to tell people to go, and those people decide that they want to stay, that can really cause a problem, because these people are really putting their lives at risk to come and try and save you. And they've taken the time to come and talk to you about it, and you decide to stay. So it's a decision people make that is their own decision, but it's not ideal, especially, you can't in this province, if you have children or minors, you can't have them stay in those areas. But now we're getting a situation where you've got people who stayed behind and who need supplies. But the thing is, if the area is under evacuation order, you're not supposed to be there for many reasons, but because it's under an order. So if you come out, you'll get the support you need through emergency support services. And that's a different conversation that I don't think I'll get into right now. But yeah, talk to your insurance company if you are on an order, and see if there's some help you can get there. Emergency support services, that process, I think, as we move forward away from this emergency and start to really recover, any future incident that happens, a lot, I believe, will have been learned about emergency support services and how you can ramp up in a very short period of time. And it's not perfect. I've used the example of an earthquake. If an earthquake happens in one area and you're talking about thousands of people who are impacted, the messaging is always be prepared to be on your own for 72 hours, because there is no way you could have a mass group of volunteers who are all impacted in an area just take care of people. It's just not practical. It's not realistic, especially if people are having to leave. So I think that's a reminder that 72 hours to be able to take care of your own family. What does that look like for you? When I travel to the coast, I always think, okay, what happens if something's going on where I live while I'm down there, or vice versa? What if I'm on the coast and this thing happens? Am I prepared to be on my own, or to take care of mine or my family's needs? And it could just simply be water. So these serious emergencies are good examples, good reminders of personal preparedness. What does personal preparedness look like? We're always going to have support from other agencies, but it starts with your own personal preparedness, and that includes fire smarting your property. So if you are on evacuation alert right now, it's really important to take the steps you can to fire smart the immediate area around your property with combustible materials. So it could be wood chips, it could be just trees and branches and pine needles and all that stuff. If you got a chance, that's a good time to clean it up. And also have your plan ready. What does it look like if an evacuation alert turns to an order? And for those of you who are on evacuation order, I want to just say that I can feel for you. I do feel for you. Everyone's thinking of you, and you don't need slogans and statements. You need help, likely, and make sure you reach out for that. Go to the Emergency Support Services Reception Center. I had a chance to go there last night when I was on my way home, and well, not to my home, but to the home that I'm staying at right now, thanks to some friends, which is going to end soon. They're going to be coming home, so I'm going to have to go to Plan B. But anyway, as I was driving back, I stopped at the reception center. There's nobody there. I identified myself as being with the RDOS. And I said, I just want to take a look around, because nobody was there in the main area. And what I saw was, I would say heartwarming, but it's basically what I expected. And I've seen it before, but booths with supplies for people, and all the needs you can think of that you might have in an emergency, all taken care of there for people. I mean, just a charging station for phones. I think that's really important. It goes on and on. And I showed you earlier the coloring book. I think that's really nice for kids. They got a little kitchen area so you can grab something to eat and grab some water. And it's an amazing setup, and it's all run by volunteers. A lot of people are supporting it. So, for example, the City of Penticton, who's the host community, the Penticton Trade and Convention Center, South Okanagan Events Center, all the people connected to those buildings and to the city as well. They've really been doing a lot of work, and it's all a bit of it's all a group effort, but also every time this happens, we're workshopping what's working, what's not working, how do we have to change, how can we improve, but then also share that information with others, with other neighbors. So as I said earlier, with emergency support services, when an incident happens and you're able to learn from it, you can share that information with others so that they can see, as far as ramping up volunteers who are available, that kind of thing. While I'm talking, I'm trying to find this email that I sent myself with some photos of the reception center, and there it is. Okay. Sometimes talking, and it's almost like walking and trying to type out a letter. It's not that easy. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to share screen, and I'm going to show you the photos that I found. I don't know if I want to do that. Yeah, I think I'll do that. Just looking for any private information here. I don't think so on my email. You probably know my email, but don't send me an email, please. I've enjoyed our sense of community here, by the way. Have I said that lately? It's really been interesting. And I feel sometimes as though I lose the script and I start talking about other things. But normally what would happen in local government, and it should happen that way, is we go on to the live stream or a YouTube feed and we do an update. And we would do that at a certain time each day. And we would provide an update from partners, from the local agency and whoever else. And that would be pretty straightforward. Because we started this, we being a lot of people, I feel like we can keep it going until the end of today and then go back to a normal routine. So there you go. That's a charging station, as you see there. There's information, QR codes. The folks at PTCC, the Penticton Trade and Convention Center, this is a screen that rotates. So it's got great information on it that's helpful. And so this is part of this whole, like what we're doing is one part. There's so many other elements to it, and you've got to go old school. So Tracy Hughes, who's here from the CSRD, came down from Salmon Arm and knows a lot about what happens during a wildfire. They had a major one in 2023. And she said, you've got to get paper copies of your information releases to the reception center. And we know that. And when things are happening fast, sometimes certain things fall through the cracks. That's something that should never fall through the cracks. And it didn't, because she was on it. And she said when she got there with the paperwork, people were really, really appreciative, because it gives them something they can hold on to that has all the latest information. And I don't know about you, but it's nice to have a piece of paper as well as the digital copy. So this is what I saw last night. It was quiet, and everybody had gone home for the most part. There were still some people there in another area who had chosen to stay there. And you've got services, banking. BCAA had their van there, their community van. All these different services were, these different companies, organizations were providing items. It's almost like a trade show, really, getting your services, items that can help people. So again, this is at the Penticton Trade and Convention Center, and it is the Emergency Support Services Reception Center. So the reception center, when there's an emergency and you're evacuated from your home, that's where you'd go. And there's this is what I thought was really interesting. The family reunification area. There were a lot of phone calls. I'm learning a lot about details and areas of emergencies that I had a little less information on, because we're always really focused on the bigger picture. But these other elements are so important when people want to know, where can I try to find a family member or connect with them. And that was the family reunification idea. And then on the right there, you see a bunch of QR codes. That's really, really neat too, because it's just easy if you've got a phone, but then other people might not have a phone. So that's why you have those paper copies. And then if we go to the van outside that I saw, there's the BCAA Community Support Vehicle, which is also important for people. And I'll close that out now and close that. So that was a little walk through what I saw. And I showed you the picture there in the back, a little artwork. It's really nice to see. There are some pictures out here that I put somewhere and can't find. Just so you know, if you're watching this and you've been watching for a while, whether you're in Calgary or Vancouver or around the corner in Penticton, this live stream that we've created was created just out of necessity. Wildfire was big. Lots of information had to get out. Very serious fire. So I asked EOC director if we could go live. And what we've done is, I told you earlier, in the EOC, the Emergency Operations Center, you've got to have an operational plan. This I always knew was an option, that we would have to go live if things were big. So we implemented it, but I hadn't really spent a lot of time workshopping what it might look like, because I just hadn't gotten there yet. And now that I've been able to do it in real time, I feel like I can take this information, make it better for next time for others. And my advice, and I just want you to know this, I wouldn't recommend doing what I'm calling, it's almost like a telethon, where we just talk and information, because in the early stages of an emergency, that can, and I think does, provide a service, because you just want information, and especially when we have people like Graham pop in and give us an update. But what that doesn't help with is people who, they didn't know it was there, they haven't heard it yet. So we have to take that information wherever we can and make sure that it's on the website. But a lot of this real-time information, the general information, will be on the website. And I talked earlier about the media taking some of this information and creating stories about it. That's great as well. The main thing is that anything we're saying here is consistent with what you're reading somewhere else on the RDOS or District of Summerland or Penticton or whoever it is, anybody in the region, that you're getting consistent information. But going forward, I think where it's really important is to have those set times that people know that at 2 o'clock and 6 o'clock, for example, we'll have updates. But if anything changes, and 24-hour news does that too, they'll tell you that we'll have the latest information, but if there's anything new, they'll have that big banner or whatever color it is that says breaking news. And so my point was that going forward with this technology, there's actually a lot we can do. And I'm working with a friend, Chris, who's going to help me basically try to refine that a little bit more and try some different things with it. But if we have a switcher, for example, like right now, I could say we've got such and such person, and they're going to join us, and we hit a button, and they come in, and they're on the screen, and it works. Okay. Castanet Media message to tourists to return to Penticton. I don't know about that. You know, I think things are moving fast, and I told you earlier that I asked Ellen Walker Matthews, who I heard on the radio with an excellent interview clip. I asked her to send me a statement, which I've buried in my email, and I'll try to find. But the general idea, not speaking on behalf of TOTA, the Thompson Okanagan Tourism Association, or any tourism providers, but the general idea is that you need to know before you go. So if you're going to be coming into an area, just simply know what's going to happen. Is it smoky, for one? Are there people on evacuation order? Are you being asked to just for now, maybe not enter the area, or maybe leave the area so that you can free up hotel rooms? Just those are the kinds of things you can get from tourism associations and local governments. I haven't really talked a lot about the specifics, again, because it's not my domain, but talking to those people. And then what I've also been hearing a lot of is supporting local businesses, like right in your community, Penticton, these folks in Summerland and other areas who are out of their businesses right now. And I can think of many that I frequent in Summerland for sure. They'll need your help. So support them any way you can. You know, the others, the wineries, cideries, distilleries, breweries, restaurants, the list goes on and on. People that make things. I've heard the Penticton Farmers Market is open on Saturday. That means likely the community market will be open as well. Again, I'm guessing on that one, so I won't talk about the community market. But I know that I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I've got a real fond spot for those markets, and if the market's open, the Penticton Farmers Market, there's a good chance the other one. But maybe you can research that and find out if the community market's open as well. But the Penticton Farmers Market, now think of that. All these producers had to take a day off because it was so smoky that one day last Saturday. And then they've got major wildfire going on. But I know a lot of those farmers, they do good work. They work really hard, and they're all really nice people. And they're trying to sell the whatever they're producing, and then they can't go to the market. So people were, in many cases, they invited people to come to their farm directly, or they were finding other ways to sell those products. So that's another good example of people you can support. But I really would like to get to the farmers market tomorrow. So if I come in here, which I will be, I'll try and wander over there. And I'm going to mention a couple farmers that I know, Bronwyn and Willis. They're just great people. Farmers are funny because they're kind of like people who work in the media, which I used to do. They're people, but they're pretty firm. They don't have time for a lot of, but anyway, just imagine being a farmer and you've got a fire like this going on. You've got smoke everywhere. Whether you're growing grapes or growing peaches, it can be tough. So any way we can support them would be great. Okay. Someone says about mayorship. I think I'm going to stick in behind the scenes. I believe people call those of us who work in the government bureaucrats. Not a fan of that term. I just doesn't, something about it. I'm in the service industry, here to serve you. Would you like fries with that? With that, I'm going to take a very short break because what we're going to do here this morning is we're going to go up until 10 o'clock this morning, and then I'm going to step out for a bit. So I'm going to turn this stream off so that I can, in a really focused way, really look at what I'm actually supposed to be doing out here, which is not just this, but other things to do with the information section that I work in, and work with my colleagues to look at the next operational period. How's our website looking? And right now, our section lead is right on top of that, but more for me, it's just for knowledge. So I know when I come back on here, I'm going to plan to come back in the afternoon to do more of what we're doing. And this is great. It looks like someone has sent us a note about the community market, I believe. Let's see. The community market is open to, confirmed by an email from a random person. No, confirmed by Michelle, who works here. Michelle, you're the best. Thank you. I trust Michelle. Michelle was on the phones, probably still is, and she's been going through voicemail. She's been answering the phone. So when you phone the emergency operations center and leave a message, when the call center is activated, often they'll stay through the night, but now it's not quite as busy. But when they come in the morning, in addition to answering phones, they're also checking those voicemails and trying to process those as quickly as possible. And Michelle was one of the people doing that. So thank you to her, Michelle, and thank you for confirming. So this weekend, if you're in the Penticton area, the farmers market, the community market, both open, along with those other businesses that you'll see. Support them, visit them, say hi, and we'll do the very best we can do. I'm just laughing at the comments. Going to take a break. Back at 10 with an update. Please take care of yourself and be nice to each other. I love the chat. Can you hear me right now? Testing 1, 2, 3. That's weird. Okay. Can you hear me now? I've unmuted myself. You can hear me. Okay, good. Oh, there's probably a delay or something. That's what it is. Aaron from BC Wildfire Service will be here at 2 o'clock. I apologize for not mentioning that earlier. The BC Wildfire Service update that we had on Thursday was one of the best updates I've had a chance to participate in for me personally, only because I was able to actually do a really good Q&A, and she was able to give me a lot of information about not just the fire now and what the look ahead was, but we got into some other details, like the fact that there's only been 12 to 14 millimeters of rain in this area since June. And she talked about how dry it is, and she talked about how crews are fighting the fire up on the ground, how aerial assets work, and that's about airplanes and helicopters and fire retardant. So it was really interesting. And actually, if you're looking for that, when you go to the YouTube channel here, the first one that you see, the little trailer it's called, you'll see that that was our update from the 13th. And then if you click on it, I put a link in there, or I think that's where it is. Anyway, when you click on the link, it takes you directly to where it started. And it was at approximately, if you look at the clock, if you're looking for it, it was at about 2:15 or sort of 2:05. So that was the BC wildfire update from yesterday, where we got into some real details. So I'll be back at 10. So you got about 20 minutes. If you want to watch that, go to yesterday's, the 13th, that update, the live one. You click on live, you can find it. Hopefully, and go take a look at that. Someone's asking about orchard permits. So those temporary, I should have stepped away because I need a break, but I appreciate, you want information, so I'm here to give it to you. The temporary access permits right now are, the process is very simple. Is well, it's not simple, I guess, but it's as simple as it can be. Go to the website, rdos.bc.ca, and there's a link for a temporary access pass. When you fill that out, first of all, don't fill out a bunch of them, just one. Put your reason in there. They're processed as quickly as possible, and I appreciate that nothing I'm going to say is going to make it more comfortable for you if you're sitting there waiting to deal with your property. So I understand that, and I hear you. I've heard you many times. There's just, words aren't going to make a difference, but that's the process. So let's follow the process, and then someone will get back to you, and as quickly as possible. Hundreds of people want to get back to their property, and in some cases, you won't be able to for a number of reasons, but one of them likely is safety. Either safety because of the concern of the fire, or hazards on the ground, and that's not taken lightly. But wherever you can get in there, you will. And on that note, I spoke earlier with Graham Statt, who is the CAO, the Chief Administrative Officer of the District of Summerland, also one of the Emergency Operations Center directors, and I talked to him about the province and how they come into it with supporting those agricultural producers who will be in need of help because of crop losses and those types of things. And that's really where the province is going to have to step up. And that's where local governments, especially the elected officials, continue to advocate. And that's why you see things like UBCM, the Union of BC Municipalities, that takes place in September, and local elected officials and senior staff go to that so they can have conversations with the senior leadership of the province, so the premier and ministers and staff, and talk one-on-one about real issues. And when they work together, so SILGA, for example, the South Okanagan Local Government Association, and I probably got that wrong, but I'm on the fly here, Southern Interior Local Government Association, they get together. So as a region, each region around the province, municipalities, all and regional districts, and they come up with things that they'd like to talk about and areas of focus. Then they go to UBCM and they advocate on behalf of the local area. So that's where your local elected official really does come into play, to have those one-on-one conversations. But then people also like Graham Stadd, who's a CAO, will have those conversations to share real-time information and real stories and real needs, so that when the government, the province, is making decisions, and they can hear what the example is or what the need is. So I'm going to leave it there. And Aaron will be with us from BC Wildfire Service at 2. And then we have our main update at 6. Stand by for a 10 o'clock update in just a few moments. Good morning and welcome to the 10 o'clock update from the Regional Emergency Operations Center. I'm Eric Thompson, and my job is Information Officer here in the EOC, the Emergency Operations Center. I'm also the Senior Manager of Communications and Engagement with the Regional District of Okanagan, Similkameen. Short version is comms guy, working with some great comms people. Okay, and a lot of other people. So, moving around, talking to people, getting some information, and not as smoky here in Penticton, which is nice. I'm going to give you a Coles Notes update, and then I'm going to take a break on the stream for a bit, come back likely around 12, I think. But for now, as I said, I've got a bit of work I need to do over the next while because we've got the next operational period for us starting, which will be on Saturday. We're going to transition this live stream into a shorter version with updates focused at 2 and at 6. So that's the moving forward as we work our way through the this wildfire, which has feels like it's been going on for a while now. But anyway, Bald Range wildfire broke out Friday, August 7th at just after 5:30. And for those of us here in the Emergency Operations Center, that meant activating and working with partners in the region to make sure people were safe. And I mentioned earlier, which I have my card here, the BSEMS is what we focus on in the emergency world. It is response goals, and it's the BC Emergency Management System. And I'm not as young as I used to be, so I wear glasses now to see everything. Anyway, BSEMS are the response goals. So, and this is what emergency management officials, it's sort of the guiding light, so to speak. And one of the goals is the safety and health of all responders. So if there's an emergency, we often will head the other direction for our safety, which we should do. Some people will stay to help others, whatever that may look like. But the idea is we want to keep people safe. And one of the goals is to make sure that the people managing, responding to that wildfire, trying to keep us safe, got to make sure they're safe. So one of the goals at the top of that list, and there's no priority necessarily, but you need responders, first responders, to be safe, or else none of us will be safe. So it's the safety and health of all responders. Number 2 on this list is, and this is just a guide, what you're trying to focus on in emergency management: save lives, reduce suffering, protect public health, protect critical infrastructure, protect property, protect the environment, reduce economic and social losses. And then on the back, it's got considerations for you and your family, and one of them is for people working in the emergency field, and one of them is your family safe? That's number 1. And what's really interesting is that often in wildfire situations, some of the people fighting the fire, responding to it, are first responders whose families or properties could be impacted. And sometimes if their families are safe, they'll still be on the job working. And in my case, I came into the Emergency Operations Center, and then quickly, I believe it was closer to midnight, the situation changed, and my property was on an evacuation order, and I had to go home. Luckily, I was able to do that and get my family out, but it was the timing of that that made that possible. And my family's safe, and I'm really thankful for that. I won't have a lot to say right now. I'm going to end the live stream here and bring it back up at 12 o'clock for a more fulsome update where we can really get into some more of the details. But I have learned that right now, anyone with a temporary access pass, you have a time that you've been provided that you should show up at the checkpoint. It's really important that you show up at the checkpoint at that time, not hours earlier. What we're finding now is there's a backlog of traffic, people who are there earlier than they're supposed to be. And the concern now is that the traffic is backing up on the highway. So when that happens, we now have a situation where it can be unsafe. So please, if you're talking to anybody, I mean, it's challenging because they're probably in a vehicle right now, but if you're planning to head to that site, go there, and maybe the media can pass this along. Go there when your time was set. That's key, because otherwise we're going to get a bunch of people backing the traffic up. Drive safe. It's something you've heard before, but this is incredibly important in this time. Take your time. Let's not have any other incidents there. Not that there have been any, but you know what I mean? Let's not create a problem by people driving too fast, driving unsafe. I appreciate the frustration. They're working to try and clear that backlog, but you've got hundreds of people who not only want to get into the area, who have temporary access pass, but then you've got traffic on the highway and people are trying to get back and forth. So we just got to remind ourselves all to take it easy and chill. So if you're talking to people who might be going in there, please remind them. And the other thing is, I've said this so many times, I'm only saying it because I'm standing in front of a camera and some people might be listening, is give everybody some grace. These processes are set up to make sure people get what they need, but it takes time. And if you're not getting what you need because it's taking time, please don't get mad at the people on the phone who you're talking to or anybody at one of those check stops. They're doing their very best. If you have some feedback, positive feedback, not positive, but I mean in a nice, constructive way, of course, here's how, a suggestion, that's great. So let's just chill and keep that in mind. So let's just focus on those temporary access permits. Stage re-entry plans will be rolled out as soon as they are ready. Graham earlier from the regional, the Regional Emergency Operations Center and the District of Summerland said something very important is the plan isn't going to be perfect as far as you're going to go back to your property, have to deal with whatever you have to deal with. But the one thing that will be 100% safe before that happens is safety. If you need any information, please go online and look to the correct agencies, and you'll find those links on the RDOS website, which is part of the Regional Emergency Operations Center, so regional information, and links to the District of Summerland as well. If you go to the District of Summerland webpage, you'll have links back here, but what you'll find is the current evacuation alerts and orders, including a map that will show you exactly which properties are under alert or order. You'll also find links to partners. And for anything to do with this wildfire, what's the wildfire doing? Where's it going? Where's it burning? You're going to get the details that are made available operationally from hour to hour. That's the kind of information that might not be available to the public because it's, I'll let you fill in the blank. But BC Wildfire provides whatever they can. bcwildfire.ca, 2 o'clock, we'll have Aaron Catherall back here with another fulsome update on the wildfire. 6 o'clock, we'll recap the day, look ahead to the next operational period. We'll have one of the directors or both of them from the Regional Emergency Operations Center. ESS, if you need support, ess.gov.bc. Lots of work from volunteers to make sure this program is working, get people through, get people the supports they need, which includes accommodations. If you're if you have your renewal, so 72 hours and it's starting to run out, you can do the renewal. But remember, if you're at one hotel and you're going to be moving for whatever reason to another place, another commercial operator, your 72 hours has to end, and then they can renew for you. So there's no overlap. It's just the way it works. And if you need supports, I was talking earlier. Thank you to Natalie for reminding me about that. That if you're looking for mental health supports, I've got reams of notes. And I used to host a breakfast show, oddly enough, or I didn't host it actually. I was doing the news or something. I don't even remember. No, but when I was there, I would try to have not pages of notes. I'd try to be a little more organized. But things are moving fast here, so I think I even know it. 8, 10, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think it is. Yeah, I've got notes everywhere. Anyway. If you need mental health supports, there is a free confidential number, and I really feel it's important that people keep that in mind. If you just want someone to talk to, especially if you're alone, you're living on your own, and you maybe don't have a lot of people around, or you just want to talk to somebody other than your family. 310-6789. Mental health support, confidential, free. Health info and advice, free again. Phone line 24/7. 811 is the number to call there. And thank you, Natalie, for reminding me to talk about that. I'm going to wrap it up, I think, because I feel like I've been talking a lot. Anything that you need as far as information, you're likely going to find the link through the website, which is right behind me, and I'm going to leave that up. Or if you have to make a call because you're just not getting what you need, the call center is active, and the representatives who are there now are my coworkers, and they're supporting the Emergency Operations Center, and they're just all around nice people, and they're doing great work. Leslie and Allison and Michelle. Michelle was there. I'm not sure if she's here now, but I don't get out a lot. I stay in my office and talk. I think my coworkers think I'm odd. But I'm trying to get information out. We started a live stream on Friday with the plan of going for 7 full days. I didn't know how long we'd be going, but now the plan was 7 days because I've determined that what we should do is wrap up the full live stream at 7 o'clock this evening, 7 o'clock local time. My coworker's waiting for me, and then we'll through the weekend. We'll start with more regular updates focused at 2 and 6. And if anything changes, we'll be back on here to talk about it then. And with that, I'm going to end this live stream. And I'm going to thank you very much for your patience, for your feedback, and for your support of all of those in need. And thank you to everyone helping, including the first responders, paramedics, RCMP, and all those on the front lines. Talk to you shortly here on the Stand Up Desk live stream.